I'm Mike, and today, the problem with vegans according to self-proclaimed proud meat eater, roaming millennial.
I am a proud meat eater.
Her main point, a lot of vegans are they're mean.
The truth is that a lot of vegans act like jerks. Like, there is a shocking amount of douchebaggery among the vegan community.
And I see this too often, really. Many people who claim to be victims of vegan behavior then extrapolate that to be a free pass to victimize animals. I've been wronged by a vegan. Now I can completely deflect and ignore all their valid points. To me, her statements, which you will soon see, are psychologically fascinating. It's not just the normal ethical paradoxical hurdles, it's an entire ropes course of completely logically inconsistent, ethically questionable claims. And I know it's been like a week since she came out with this video. Some of you are like, you're late to the party, but I was having a great time traveling in LA at the Veg Fest. But her points are relevant because they are myths that will be used again in the future. And the advantage of coming late to the party, I can include some well-crafted responses from some other YouTubers. She breaks it down into 5 main points, which I will address, as well as some other specific points, which I found to be the most ridiculous. All right, let's start with point number 1.
You don't shut up about being vegan. I swear, it's almost like veganism is the opposite of Fight Club, in that you have to tell everybody about it.
No originality points here, and I really wonder, is this something that actually happened to her in real life? She witnessed somebody just saying they're vegan out of the blue, and that actually made her mad? No, the reality is probably that she was just scrubbing anti-vegan articles and memes. This is perpetuated because omnivores think it's funny, not because it's true. Most of the time, vegans just say they're vegan when it's relevant and food is brought up in a group. Like, here, do you want some cheese? No thanks, I'm a vegan. There goes the vegans again, always saying they're vegan, they just can't keep it in. There are a lot of problems in this world. Vegans saying they're vegan is not one. And I love this attack on veganism disguised as a compliment.
Plus, it is really hard to avoid animal products completely at this day and age, so it is an achievement the fact that you're able to sustain yourselves based on nothing but plants.
Have you ever actually tried it? Because I would have to disagree, and this really seems to be a theme throughout the video, of feigning or faking this support for veganism, extending this olive branch, grabbing the olive branch back, snapping it in half while claiming to not be attacking veganism. And here's a pretty ironic statement that she dropped.
I hate to break it to you guys, but vegans, nobody really cares about your dietary preferences.
I wholeheartedly disagree. Honestly, people care way too much about my dietary preferences. It's kind of creepy. Where you get your protein and stuff like that. People are concerned because by default, a vegan diet busts open the paradigm of standard diets. It challenges them. To highlight how threatening people find these dietary preferences, this recent Free From Harm article highlights the case of somebody asking vegans not to use the term vegan at all because it implies criticism of people that aren't vegan. And that's kind of the logical extension of her next statement.
I guess being vegan would be relevant to bring up if you're making meal plans with someone, but aside from that, you can probably just go ahead and keep it to yourself.
She's actually trying to suppress vegans into not talking about veganism at all because it's annoying? Sorry, you can't just erase a large part of somebody's life because you don't want to hear it, as the tofu goddess said in her response to this.
And I think it's also just unfair, just on a personal level, to tell someone that they're not allowed to talk about something that they're passionate about.
Which is that I, as a general rule, usually don't care very much for vegans, or at least not their behavior.
Well, have you ever thought about why vegans are so annoying to you? Have you ever really asked the question, why does this bother me so much? Let's go ahead and unpack these feelings together. Let's hop right into what I consider her main point here.
And reason number 2 why I generally don't care for vegan behavior is that you're often aggressive and hostile.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this comes off as using vegans are mean as a justification to kill and eat animals. It seems that what her video is really about is that vegans have threatened her positive self-image, that she's a good person who just happens to pay people to kill animals. Maybe she feels a need to take vegans and put them ethically below her to feel good about her unethical dietary choices. Because if there are a lot of vegans that are worse people than her, then she doesn't have to be vegan, she doesn't have to listen to vegans, and it could just be dietary business as usual. Maybe I went too deep. Maybe she doesn't even know this yet. But it's true. But here's a question for you, roaming millennial. Let's say you're at a park and nearby somebody takes a dog, kills the dog, and then cooks and eats that dog. Would you maybe get a little aggressive and attempt to stop this person, or would you be totally nice and just keep it to yourself? This is what it's like to be vegan with respect to other animals. If you think it's at all okay to get a little aggressive or mean at that dog killer within your personal speciesist framework, then you can't get mad about vegans attesting to omnivore diets. Now, I'm not saying there isn't that rare vegan who crosses the line of aggression, and I'm not encouraging vegans to be even more aggressive, but we do need to get some perspective here. What harm did vegans really do to you? This harm does not and never will compare to the harm that I, for example, did to animals back when I ate them, or that you are currently doing, roaming millennial. And as much as you want it to be, what happens between two human parties will never be a justification to harm animals. One thing that definitely doesn't make it into the video is how mean omnivore people are to vegans. Really mean, very often. I just got a message from somebody asking how to respond to somebody who's sneaking meat into your vegan food. What about that dude who ate raw cow brains in front of a vegan event? Rose from Cheap Lazy Vegan put it pretty well.
When you spend a week in a vegan shoes, you'll see how much ridicule and criticism and almost verbal harassment that you might get from non-vegans on a regular basis. Anytime you go to any sort of social event and people find out you're vegan, you might be hounded by a lot of people making fun of you, you know, shouting bacon in your face, people trying to criticize vegan food.
Now for what might be some of the most amazing moral gymnastics she pulls in the video.
And issue number 3 I have with vegans is that you often conflate meat eaters with the meat industry.
She really wants to believe that there's this imaginary line absolving her of the atrocities committed to animals. Sorry to break it to you, but any given industry is defined by their customers. It exists because of their customers, and meat eaters are willing to buy factory farm meat without complaining or pressuring the industry, so now approximately 99% of animals are factory farmed. But
in their minds, the meat eaters are responsible for the treatment of these animals. But the thing is, most meat eaters do not support animal cruelty.
What I think she meant is most meat eaters use cognitive dissonance to directly fund and support cruelty that they don't find ethical. Let's look at some word use here. At the end of your video, when asking for money for Patreon, what word do you use? I use it too. Support!
And a big thank you to my patrons who support this channel.
If your patrons are supporting you with money, then most meat eaters sure as hell do support cruelty by paying into an inherently cruel system known as animal agriculture. Roaming millennial, think about the last restaurant you ate at. Can you say for sure that you were not funding cruelty to animals? Or maybe some meat that you recently bought at the grocery store. I can virtually guarantee that you paid somebody to directly do something that you do not support. She then goes on to fallaciously separate instances of cruelty from the system.
Quick YouTube or Google search will show you that there is no shortage of video footage out there of animals being treated cruelly. But that resentment that you feel while watching those animals be mistreated, don't take that and place it on every meat eater you see. That ill will should be directed to the people who are responsible for mistreating the animal. The guy who's kicking the chicken, or that guy who was punching goats in one video.
This is definitely just the deep denial that's required to eat these animal products. If slaughterhouses had glass walls, everyone would be a vegetarian. But if people just knew more about farming, they'd all be vegan. The dairy industry, for example, 97% of calves are removed from their mothers within the first 24 hours of life, and that is considered the more humane option before bonding occurs. And there are atrocious facts for every species like this that I don't have time to get into, but this is the type of stuff that you're defending. This is the side of history that you're choosing to be on. Wrong side. It's the wrong side.
And while there are laws in place, at least in the West, that are meant to protect the well-being of livestock and ensure that they are slaughtered in the most humane way possible and they don't suffer unnecessarily,
your lily white idea, fantasy of humane slaughter is just, it's a joke. I mean, it doesn't matter how happy an animal is when you kill them, it's not humane to kill them. And even if you think it is, it's not well enforced. From the Washington Post, quote, enforcement records, interviews, videos, and worker affidavits describe repeated violations of the Humane Slaughter Act at dozens of slaughterhouses, ranging from the smallest custom butcheries to modern automated establishments. And it doesn't even matter, because the last moment of an animal's life is just one tiny fraction of their total suffering. The very legal confinement, forced pregnancy, docking, screwed up breeding practices, etc. are by definition not humane. Now for what I view as the most entertainingly ridiculous point here.
Fourth problem I have with vegans is that a lot of you don't seem to get sentience or intelligence hierarchies.
Translation, vegans are so stupid that they can't even tell that a snail is dumber than an orangutan. Nope, vegans just don't prescribe to these anthropocentric intelligence hierarchies as a moral baseline.
That I don't believe that animals are intelligent or sentient enough for it to be akin to murder to eat them.
It's about not killing animals for no reason, no matter how smart they are. It's about not squishing the bug because you don't have to, not because it's so smart. Just like how it's about not killing a cow because you don't have to, as you mentioned in your video, because veganism can be very healthy.
I think there are health benefits to it. I think there are environmental and sustainability benefits to it. Not enough benefits to make me want to give up meat.
We don't require animal products, and that is the official position of the largest organization of nutritional professionals in the world. But chickens suck.
No, I really don't feel at all guilty about eating chickens or eating fish.
Have you ever actually studied chickens? Don't mind that they have complex social systems and are very visually intelligent and can be trained to do complex tasks, as you can see here. I used to be the same way. Just because chickens aren't mammals, it's very easy to distance yourself from them. I would suggest reevaluating that. And if we really want to realize your intelligence hierarchy, then, roaming millennial, we are going to have to kill people with mental disabilities, or at least treat them horribly. Oh, but there vegans go again with the human comparison.
And so it can be really frustrating, or at least I find it frustrating, when you're trying to have a conversation with a vegan about the value of human life versus animal life, and they refuse to see the difference between the two.
It's not that we can't tell the difference, it's that we see the similarities. What you're really saying is that you're frustrated that vegans don't agree that not being human means it's okay to kill and eat you. No, vegans simply compare human and animal life. They don't equate it. Comparing and equating are not the same thing. If it was, though, it would be very easy to ignore those mean anti-human vegans, wouldn't it? In particular, she at least claims to have a problem with the Holocaust comparison.
They compared Holocaust victims to livestock. I thought those ads were disgusting.
As Vegan Gains responds to this in his video,
well, first of all, there are actual Holocaust survivors who have compared the animal agriculture industry to the Holocaust.
I spent my childhood years in the Warsaw Ghetto, where almost my entire family was murdered. And people sometimes will ask me whether that experience had anything to do with my work for animals. It didn't have a little to do with my work for animals. It had everything to do with my work for animals.
Now, this doesn't mean that it's always appropriate or effective to draw these comparisons. It just means that her point is irrelevant. Now for her final point.
The fifth issue I have with vegans is that you often misrepresent or misinterpret nutritional studies.
This isn't just a problem with vegans, it's a problem with everybody that talks about health studies, and as we're about to see, it's a problem with roaming millennial.
Vegans are healthier than the average meat-eating person, but that's not necessarily because they don't eat meat. Vegans also tend to be way more health conscious in areas like not smoking, exercising more, and not eating processed foods.
Actually, the largest studies that we have on vegans are on ones who eat vegan for religious reasons. The Adventists, a portion of which just eat a standard vegan diet, not trying to be super healthy. They're also being directly compared to their neighbors, which happen to qualify as some of the healthiest omnivores on Earth. Couple quick examples, the vegans still had 70% lower total diabetes and 15% lower mortality rates than their omnivore neighbors. But paleo sellout and starchophobe Dr. Hyman references an uncited study saying that health-conscious vegetarians only live as long as health-conscious omnivores.
But in this study, the researchers found that the overall rates of death were cut in half for both health-conscious meat eaters and for vegetarians when compared to the average person eating a Western processed diet.
We are talking about vegans here. Seriously, the leading source of saturated fat in the US diet is dairy. Animal products have cholesterol and bioaccumulated toxins, and the list goes on. But vegans use health studies misleadingly. And probably my favorite point.
The fact is that humans, we're omnivores. We are. It's just what our system requires.
One second you're saying a vegan diet is healthy, the next you're saying we require animal products. Which is it? Even if you believe that we're omnivores, anatomically we are the worst omnivores on the planet. And I have a whole video with tons of studies and research cited about how we do the best on an herbivorous diet. She then says that vegans hide the B12 point. We really don't. We've had a concerted effort to make sure that all vegans take B12 across the board. And once you realize that bacteria make B12, a lot of animals are fed B12 supplements. Untreated water can oftentimes have all the B12 you need in a day in just 1 liter, and there are many more unsightly bacteria-related sources of B12. The B12 point becomes pretty moot. She then spreads lies about things like vitamin A, of which we can get all we need from carrots easily, and vitamin K2, saying we can't get it from plants.
Unlike vitamin K1, you just can't get from plants.
While simultaneously flashing an article that mentions that natto is a plant source of K2, happens to be the highest source of K2, and the article is just wrong because sauerkraut is also another source of K2. And we can make our own vitamin K2 from vitamin K1. At this point, she is just blindly trying to poke holes in veganism, holes that aren't there, attacking it while claiming initially that she wasn't going to.
And actually, there are a lot of health benefits that come from eating unprocessed meat and animal products in moderation.
Did we forget that unprocessed, grass-fed, free-range red meat is still a class 2A carcinogen? Yeah, replace processed meats with some airplane parts and you might be better off. I mean, bless that one French guy that ate a whole airplane. And for the final jab.
If they're not done properly, vegan diets can potentially be very dangerous.
Duh! If not done properly, walking can be dangerous. Seriously, falling is a leading cause of death. And just a reminder from this study, quote, almost every North American child over the age of 3 years has some degree of aortic fatty streaks, which is the beginning of cardiovascular disease, which encompasses a lot of our leading killing diseases. And as this study shows, a whole food vegan diet has been clinically shown to reverse cardiovascular disease. It appears that while a crap vegan diet can be dangerous, a omnivore diet is the single most dangerous thing. But be worried about a vegan diet. That one vegan, they had yellow hands, which actually could be a result of increasing antioxidant intake. Nice try though. But a little analysis of this next statement, I think, sums it all up pretty well.
But like I said before, if you are vegan, as long as you're a nice person, I really don't care what you do or don't eat.
Translation, as long as you enable me to pay and kill innocent animals, we can be friends. I have so many pushover vegan friends. All right, this video has gotten long enough, but my final message to roaming millennial is reevaluate your pride. Seriously, what are you proud of here? Funding something that you claim not to support, taking the lives of stupider beings, valuing taste over animal lives, or maybe proud to just eat the way everybody else does, to be a champion of the mainstream. None of these arguments were backed by sound logic or actual research. Yeah, vegans could be more tactful and persuasive, but just don't expect vegans to shut up anytime soon. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know that roaming millennial probably won't watch it because there have been so many, but I appreciate you for watching it. Alright, that's it for today. Feel free to support me on Patreon. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See you next time.